What's going on, everyone? So Elgin clearly has some type of connection and tie-in to Fatima and Ellis's baby. I talked about this in a previous video that he clearly seems to fit the criteria as like chosen, right? And obviously Tabitha, she's chosen in the sense of like her job is to try to save the children, to free everyone from FROMVILLE. But you have Elgin, who was having visions before ever even getting to FROMVILLE, having visions of various characters in FROMVILLE, has seen things essentially in the future, right? And such as like the pregnancy to begin with. But a lot of his tie-ins, a lot of his kind of connections are to Fatima and her pregnancy, right? Obviously, he had a dream. He couldn't remember the dream. And then Fatima, they found out that Fatima was pregnant. And Elgin goes, I remember what my dream was now. And since Fatima got pregnant, he started to see that, dead, shriveled up woman who is a harbinger, omen of death by a woman during childbirth, right? So again, you have this clear tie-in, this clear connection between Elgin and Fatima's child. And we've had multiple instances now that connect to that. But I also saw something that I think is very interesting that I want to kind of tie into this video, kind of explore this possibility. But it's not my idea. It's from SBZ, Kill Frenzy. After episode 1, I have a couple crazy theories. And one of those theories was Elgin is the future version of Ellis and Fatima's son. Remember, he's been seeing visions from FROMVILLE before he even arrived, which I thought was really interesting. And when I saw the comment, I was like, oh, hey, I talked about how Elgin kind of ties in to Fatima and her pregnancy. And clearly there is something going on with Fatima and her pregnancy, right? It appears, and we'll see if this is actually the case, but it appears that Fatima tried to go and use the door and she couldn't get in, that the door was locked, right? You can even hear the click of the button and she tries to open it and it won't open. Now, is that because of the talisman on the door and she's not able to get in, right? And she needs somebody to let her in, just like you see with the monsters. Also, you have the rotten, decayed fruit and stuff, or vegetables that were there, that she now has a fascination for, and we see her eating them. And obviously, that's very likely going to continue to play a part, continue to play a storyline in this upcoming episode and further, right? Fatima and Ellis kind of isolated at this point, kind of living in their own little world in a lot of ways, and are kind of, Fatima basically is shriveling up. She's losing her teeth, right? And you could argue maybe it's pica. I might be saying that wrong, but essentially women in pregnancy will develop it's an eating disorder, but a lot of women during pregnancy will develop that where they'll start eating dirt or like charcoal or crayons or whatever, right? They eat non-food items. So including rotten food, right? They'll kind of get a taste for that. So is that what this is kind of alluding to? Is that where the connection is? That Fatima is just has a disorder, right? Or is it really that she's growing something evil in her belly? Because again, Elgin clearly has a connection to that child. But I also think it's interesting that what if there is this sort of turn of events? What if there is this sort of turning the corner moment where maybe the child is saved? Maybe the child is there. And, now we haven't seen any connections to necessarily different timelines, so to speak, right? Obviously, FROMVILLE is kind of outside of its own realm, right? Time, place, everything kind of seems like its own thing. But you could argue with Victor, maybe, and even Boyd, two characters that with Boyd, his condition, his medical condition, almost seems to be getting expedited since he got there, right? He was supposed to be years before he started getting the shakes and, all the hallucination stuff. And he already is starting to get all that. Victor, right? A lot of people point out that Victor and his father kind of look around the same age. Now, I think the easy argument against that is that, like, Victor grew up in FROMVILLE, right? Imagine what that would do age-wise, right? Imagine what that would do as far as your aging goes. I don't think you'd look like, a supermodel living in FROMVILLE, right? Especially growing up from childhood in FROMVILLE, right? But I also think that you can make the argument that those are two signs that, like, time and space and things like that just move differently in FROMVILLE, right? That things are just very different there. And what if there is these other kind of timelines that are bleeding in together, and you have this bus of people and Elgin is potentially tied, and maybe even Ellis and Fatima's child. Now, again, I think that is, if I'm being honest, a little bit more of an out there theory, but I do think it's something that's fun that I wanted to kind of touch on and tie in with this video, because I do think that there is clear connection between Elgin, Fatima, and that child, right? And we're going to continue to see that expanded. We're going to continue to see it. And Elgin may even be able to maybe help navigate that birth, right? Maybe be able to protect Fatima, maybe be able to prevent her from dying even. We don't really know a lot about Elgin, right? We don't really have a ton of answers about Elgin, right? That's why I don't think it's that far-fetched. Like, with this show has shown enough that, like, we can't just put anything past this show. I think we need to keep an open mind for everything and all potentials and all possibilities. Again, I think him being Ellis and Fatima's son is a little out there. I don't think that that'll be the case, but I don't think it's something that we can just completely dismiss, because there is this clear connection. Why did Elgin just randomly start having dreams? Like, he had dreams about before he got there, about Fatima and her pregnancy, and then, the music and all that. Like, how is he still seeing this woman? Like, all of these things that all directly tie to Fatima and that baby, right? Like, again, you talk about coincidences, you talk about things that occur. It's like, okay, when one thing happens, it's like, okay, that's odd. Okay, two things, it's like, that's a strange coincidence. Three things, it's like, okay, maybe this isn't a coincidence. Once you start getting 3, 4, like, at what point does coincidence stop being coincidence and it's actually how and what is actually happening, right? Now, again, that doesn't necessarily mean that he is the son from the future, like, all grown up. But I also don't think it's that crazy. Again, I think it's unlikely, but I do think that is a fun idea. Like, what happens if they do find out that he is? And you're not just getting people from the real world, but you're getting people from other kind of timelines and realities and stuff. Like, how expanded are they willing to go with From is the question. Like, how much are they willing to kind of expand various ideas? Well, because, I mean, if you even go that route, you could do this show forever regardless. But, like, Elgin basically being from a different time, all right, like, I do think could make some sense. All right, I do think maybe it's just a bloodline thing. What if he's related to Ellis? Right? Like, what if him and Ellis are relatives? They just don't know it. Right? Like, there has to be a reason why Elgin is connected to this child. There has to be a reason why Elgin is connected to Fatima and her pregnancy and all that. Something is connecting that. Is it just, maybe he's related to Ellis? Is it that, maybe he is from the future? Like, what if Elgin dies at some point helping Fatima? and, you know, the baby comes out, and you see Ellis and Fatima go like, you know, let's name him Elgin. And all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, like, again, I don't think we can completely rule it out. I think it's something that's at least worth the discussion, and why I wanted to add it to this video. But nonetheless, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? What do you think Elgin's connection is to Fatima and her baby? What do you think the tie-in is? Do you think that it could be, yeah, maybe he is the child from a different timeline or something? Do you think that, no, maybe it makes more sense that it'd be, you know, kind of just relationship-wise? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.